A North Carolina man is at risk of being deported back to a country that he has not seen since he was a toddler. Agustin Gentile was targeted due to a 2020 misdemeanor, and the case was eventually closed in 2023. However, 3 months ago, after a trip abroad, Gentile returned to the U.S. only to have his green card and passport confiscated. So he was ordered to report to Customs and Border Protection in Raleigh last month. Gentile now was born in Argentina. His family moved to the U.S. in the mid-90s. His parents, who voted for President Donald Trump last November, say they feel betrayed by the administration. Chief Legal Analyst Khalif Rhodes joining us now. A lot to take in with this. Khalif, just your thoughts.
I mean, sometimes you get in situations that you think folks are, that don't apply to you, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is kind of like a buyer's remorse. And with the parents, I watched the video with them talk about it, and this is what you could see it in their eyes, the frustration. You could see how they were saying, well, wow, this isn't what I anticipated. When they were talking about immigration, I was assuming they were talking about people that were coming here illegally, not people that went through the legal process. Mm-hmm. To bring people up to speed. Their son, even though he was born in another country, he was a green card holder. That means a legal permanent resident has went through the legal process to be in this country. And so typically you would think that's the type of people, if we're saying we need immigration reform, that we're not talking about. But what we are seeing is that it's not limited to people only committing crimes. It's some folks that are getting swooped up in this entire immigration bucket, and that's what I've talked about a number of times, that if we're saying that we want to ensure that we've got tighter immigration policies and tighter immigration rules and tighter immigration regulations, we're throwing all people that are coming here into one large bucket. It's them versus us, as opposed to some folks are coming here for different reasons in different avenues. And if you've come here illegally, I think there's a mechanism to deal with that. But if you've come here and you went through the process, I think there's also a mechanism to deal with that as well.
All right, so what's the process of a green card holder getting deported?
Well, typically it's for aggravated type of events like violent crimes, like a rape or murder or something like that. Or, I mean, the easiest term that they use is a crime of moral turpitude. These are crimes that are just devious in nature. And so you're going to say, okay, this person, we don't want them in their country because the nature of their charge is so horrific that they don't even deserve the right to be here. But even in those situations, you still would have a process. You would still have to have a hearing. You still have to have a case. You'd have to go before an immigration judge, and they'd have to determine that now your immigration status here is going to be terminated. It's not just something that can be done with a swipe of a pen. There is a legal process, something called due process, even for these folks, equal to the due process that you and I would have as being U.S. citizens.
Right. So right now, what we do know is President Donald Trump did campaign on the commitment to deport undocumented immigrants who committed crimes. That was kind of the big focus there. So is the deportation strategy changing that we're seeing? Or legally, is there anything that somebody can do?
I mean, I think it has changed a number of times. I mean, if you could look at ICE's own page on their website, it says that typically we are seeking to go after folks and deport them and go through the process for folks that are convicted of charges. But what we've seen most recently, even here in Mecklenburg County, we've seen folks that are not convicted of crimes, but just charged with a crime. And ICE is attempting and ultimately detaining those individuals. And all of the directions from ICE are coming from the top. All things rise and falls with leadership. So their directives are coming from the president. And so the directives, I think, have changed, where now it's just trying to get anyone that's charged with a crime, where before in the past with the Trump administration, on the first administration, and with other administrations, it's been convictions of crime would be the triggering effect for folks. I mean, but you're not even limited to people being charged with crimes. You're even with people that are participating in protests. We're seeing the mass sweeping and grabbing up of folks on college campuses. And so the process has changed significantly of who they're going after. And it is different than what he campaigned on, which was going after criminals.
Khalif Rhodes, we appreciate your insight. Thank you.